Hello friends, good evening. Welcome to PDF for Exams YouTube channel. Today is day 28. We are learning geography, and in this video we will be learning about human and economic geography, and under this we'll learn about the mineral resources which are present around the world and in India. In last video we have learned about agriculture and energy resources and types of agriculture which were practiced throughout the world. Okay, so in this video we will be learning about mineral resources. So before learning about minerals, you should know what is a mineral. So if we simply define a mineral in simplest form, what are minerals? So these minerals are nothing but the building blocks of rocks. Building blocks of rock. So these are minerals. What do you understand by building blocks? Building blocks means the simplest form of the fundamental unit which are responsible for making up or formation of rock. These are called minerals. Like in human body we have got cells as our building block. In making a home or making a house, you have got bricks which are known as building blocks. Similarly, these minerals are building block of rocks. Okay, and as we know, we are living in age of high consumption of what? Resources, matters, element. And what kind of resources do we consume? These are the natural resources, all kind of natural resources which are present on the planet, like coal, petroleum, gold, silver. These are the elements which are naturally present on earth. We just need to extract them, harness them, or clear them to use for our own purpose. So we are highly consumptive in nature. We have to consume this. Without these in our life would be not easy. Okay, so that's why learning of these minerals are very important. Now again, if we look for a definition, if we look for a simplest definition of mineral, so it is that solid substance that are present in nature. So minerals are solid in nature. They are present in nature, that means they are naturally present and can be made up of one element or more than one element. It is not necessary that a mineral would be made of single element. It can be made with one element or by combination of two or more elements. Okay, and if we see the characteristic of some property or basic properties of these minerals, so they are naturally occurring. We have already seen this in definition. So all the minerals would occur naturally. It can't be made artificially. Okay, what is next? It is solid in form. So most of the minerals which are extracted, generally they are solid in form. And what else? Organized crystal structure. That means the structure which is there. For example, if this is a mineral, so structure or the designing or the crystals, they would be organized. It won't be random. All the molecules of those crystals won't be random. They would be very well organized. And there would be a definite chemical composition. Chemical composition means the element. For example, I said a mineral can be made with one or more element. So the chemical composition of those elements would be well defined. It can't be anything. It has to be well defined, because these combination will lead to the names of minerals or the elements which are extracted from that mineral. That's why this has to be very clearly defined. Now moving further, let's see what we have to study. So first we have to study ores. What are ores? Ores are the rocks, natural occurring rocks from which we extract metal or elements, whatever which are economic in nature. That means which are economically beneficial for us. We extract these ores, and from these ores minerals are extracted. Okay, so this is how minerals are extracted. Now the next topic which we have to study is origin of mineral deposit. That means how do these minerals origin. So for this you have to go back into geomorphology. In geomorphology we have seen the movement of several plates. What kind of plates were there? There were mainly two kinds of plates. One was a continental plate. What was this continental plates? The plates which were on the land surface. The other was the oceanic plates. Okay, and these two plates, the continental plates mainly consisted of granite. Why granite? I will tell you just a minute. And this ocean, these plates consist of basalt. Okay, now as we know, as we go deeper inside the earth, there are several layers of earth. We have studied this also. Core at the bottom, mantle, and crust. And you should know that most of the minerals which are found on the earth are found in the first layer, the very topmost layer of the earth, that is crust. So as we move below, temperature increases, and because of increase in temperature, the material which are present are in molten form. Like core, everything, the material over here will be in molten form, and somewhere in the upper layer of mantle also the material which are present are in molten form, are all called magma. We know this also, we have studied already in geomorphology. So these magma during volcanic eruption or when they find any kind of cracks, they erupt or they move out of the surface of land. So if this is a surface and somewhere here we have magma, lots of magma present, and if it finds some crack, it will move outwards, and when it moves outward, it will have different temperature, different pressure as compared to pressure and temperature at the bottom or from its origin. So with the change of temperature and pressure, it solidifies because the temperature on the surface is lesser as compared to the temperature in or interior of the earth. So because of the solidification, rocks are formed, we have already seen, and within these rocks all minerals are present. Why these minerals are present? Because we have already seen that minerals are the building block of rocks. So it is very clear from here how these minerals origin or how they are formed. Okay, now again, after igneous rock were formed, there were other two type of rock which we have studied. Those were the sedimentary rock and metamorphic rock. So because of movement, denudation, erosion, and lots of external factors, several kind of rocks are formed, and due to several kind of rocks, all kind of minerals are also extracted from earth's surface. Not surface, actually from the first layer of the earth, that is crust. So this is about the ores and origin of minerals. Now we'll see type of minerals, or you can say the classification, in how many types these minerals are classified. So these minerals are generally classified into three kinds, although here there are some more kind of classification, but especially or mainly or majorly these are classified into three types. Those are the metallic minerals. What are metallic minerals? Metallic minerals means the minerals which consist of metals. What are metals? I'll tell you that also. But let's see what are the classification. So first is metallic mineral. Second would be non-metallic mineral. Simple. One is metallic, then other would be non-metallic. And at last we have energy minerals. The minerals with which we extract energy resources are called energy mineral. Fine. Okay. Now moving further, we'll see these metallic minerals are subclassified into two kinds. One is ferrous mineral, another is non-ferrous mineral. What is ferrous? Ferrous is chemical name of iron. You know what is iron? Iron is a metal which is present on earth in abundance, and without iron you can see all the structure can't be made. Even while building our houses we need iron for making the roofs, for making the beams and pillars. These irons are very much required, and even for making vehicles. So iron is required a lot in our living standard. If we have to stay, if we have to live, the consumption of iron is too much. And even the standard of lifestyle, living standard is determined by the consumption of iron only. In any country, the country who consumes abundant iron, that the lifestyle of that country would be greater than the country which is consuming less amount of iron. Okay, so this is significance of iron. And the other form of mineral is non-metallic mineral. So non-metallic mineral would be mineral from which the elements which are extracted are non-metallic in nature. Fine. And you know, we know what are metals and non-metals. We know the difference very well. Metals means the elements which have particular characteristic. What characteristic they have? They are ductile in nature. Ductile means they can be beaten up to a wire. They are lustrous. That means some kind of shine would be present in these kind of minerals. And what other property it has? It has malleability property, it has high melting point. So lots of characteristics are there, but specifically the main characteristic which are of metal are ductile and lustrous. Next is non-metal. So non-metal is generally brittle in nature. What do you mean by brittle in nature? When you apply some force on non-metal, they will break into pieces like powder. They will scatter away. They won't flatten, or they can't be made into a wire. That is mean by brittle. Okay, so this is what are known as metallic and non-metallic minerals. And as you have seen, metallic are subdivided into ferrous and non-ferrous mineral. And over here they have classified non-metallic minerals into fuel or energy or power producing minerals. So those minerals like coal, petroleum, these are the minerals which produce energy of fossil fuel. Fine. Now let's see what are the other classification of minerals. So other kinds of minerals which are classified, they are among the minerals which there are three major categories. So among these only these sub classifications are done. So industrial metallic mineral. So the iron ore is known as industrial metallic mineral. Why? Because lots of iron are used in all kind of industry for building the machine, for building the products. So iron is used very significantly in all kind of industry. Next is ferroalloy metallic mineral. So the minerals in which alloys are to be made. So iron again plays a very important role in formation of all kind of alloy. What are alloy? Alloy means combination of more than two elements actually. For example, nowadays you have got alloy wheels in your bikes, in your cars. Earlier you used to have iron alloy, or sorry, iron wheel, the rim which was made, they were generally made of iron, but now they are made up of alloy because alloy are more stronger as compared to the other. They are more durable actually. That's why alloy are used. Next kind of mineral is precious metallic mineral. So there are few metallic metals which are very precious. Precious means very costly, like gold, silver, platinum. You know, these elements or these metals are these elements are very costly in nature. Gold and silver, these come under metal, whereas platinum, this comes under non-metal. Okay, and they are very costly. That's why they are termed as precious metals. Other is non-metallic minerals. So non-metallic minerals are like salt, tin, potash, asbestos, sulfur. And power minerals. Power minerals, I've already told, the minerals from which we can extract or harness power, like coal, petrol, natural gas, are considered under non-metallic mineral. And the other kind of mineral is uranium. What is uranium? In last video we have discussed about nuclear energy. So the nuclear energy, so the raw materials which are produced, which are used for harnessing energy by the nuclear reaction method, is called as uranium. So uranium is a kind of raw material with which we can produce electric or any kind of energy. And what is the process? That process is nuclear fission or nuclear fusion. Okay, so this is the classification of mineral. What now, next topic that we are going to see is mineralized region. So what do we understand by this mineralized region? So mineralized region means the region in which all kind of minerals are present. So they are divided into several parts along the world. So we can see from here. So, and how these mineralization are done. So these mineralization depend upon the movement of plates, the continental plates, because the earth's surface we have lots of water and we have land area. Land area is very less as compared to water area. So, and we have continental plates. So with the movement of, because of this movement of continental plates, all kind of minerals are arranged from place to place. So the first place in which we are going to study, that is continental Europe. What do we mean by continental Europe? The land area of the Europe. So over here lots of amount of lead, zinc, copper are found over here, and it is the second high mineralized region in the shield of very old rock. That means very old rocks are present in the central continental Europe. How do we see set the age of these rocks? Age of rocks are set by the most of the rocks, the first primary rock which formed is called as igneous rock. These rocks are formed by movement of or eruption of magma from interior of the earth to outside of the earth. So when these magma solidified and other magma moves out and this solidified, so the one which has solidified at earlier stage are called old rocks, and we know these rocks only consist of all kind of minerals. Next is CIS. What is the CIS? CIS means Commonwealth of Independent State. So over here in 1 minute, in Ukrainian Plateau, Ural Mountains, Siberian Shield, all kind of rocks are present in which we have got some non-ferrous metals. Non-ferrous metal we know very well, in which the quantity of iron is negligible or not present. Next is Asia. So the Asian countries like India, China, Singapore, and these are called Asian countries. So in Asia we have China. It has the large reserve of tin and tungsten, whereas in India we have got large reserve of coal and all. We know this very well. And in Japan it is most industrialized Asia in the country. Industrialized, wherever this industrialized term will come, that means the mineral are present in abundance. And what kind of mineral would be present? Those would be ferrous kind of elements, because iron is a very important metal which are used in all kind of industries. Okay, so the next continent are the Africa and Australia. So these are the two land masses which are largely shield of hard and ancient rock. Again over here also we have lots of ancient rock. So as we know, Australia, this is a continent which is very much separated, or you can say the smallest continent, and it consists of the ancient rock. And again we know in rocks only all kind of minerals are present. And this Zambia, Zaire, these countries of South Africa, you can say African continent, lots of gold reserve and diamond reserves are found in South Africa. And tin is found in Nigeria. This is also part of Africa. Okay, and Australia consists of rich resources of lead, zinc, and silver. So these are the three kind of minerals which are present in Australia. The next continents that we are going to see are the North America and Latin America. So in North America, what we have? In North America we have mineral resources. Okay, so we have lots of resources in North America, but they have not been harnessed or they have not been mined, because this mining activity does not happen in North America. They are still present in abundance. So over there large reserve of copper, lead, zinc, and alloy metals are already present, but they have not been mined because mine activity are not very much established in American. Next country is Latin America. In Latin America we have got gold and silver, which is extracted early explorer. That means early explorers. Who were these explorers? Explorers were the people who were finding different country. And why they were finding? They were finding different country for trade and finding resources. So this Latin America was a place which was lots of which was attracted too much because of its gold and silver reserve which are present over there. Now we'll see the classification, the classification and the presence where they are found and what type of these minerals are there. So first we can see the industrial metallic minerals. So what are these industrial metallic minerals? Again I am saying the metals which are extracted from the minerals which are metallic in nature and are used in industry are called as industrial metallic minerals. So the first industrial metallic minerals is iron ore. Ore, we know ore are the rocks from which minerals are extracted. So these iron ore are of four kinds. First kind is magnetite, second is hematite, third is limonite, and fourth is siderite. So we'll see the composition, why these different kind of ore are present, or why we have named differently, because the content of iron is more in some type and lesser in some type. So magnetite, this is best kind of iron ore which is available, because from this ore 72% of iron is present. What is ore? We have already seen for example. So if this is a big ore, or you can say big rock, from which we have to extract iron mineral, or iron you can say, or this magnetite is an iron ore. So in this, the 72% content would be iron. So that's why magnetite is best kind of iron ore present. It is black mineral and it is formed in igneous or metamorphic rocks. Okay, and it has excellent magnetic quality. The magnetic quality of these irons are very high. So we know that very well, that magnet attracts iron. So you have seen in your childhood, you even played with these magnets and you know the property of magnet. These attracts the iron. Next kind of iron ore is hematite. So over here the iron content is 70%. In the first case it was 72.4%. So here it is not very less, but still it is 70%, and it is most important iron ore. Why most important? Because it is found in most area, and they are red ores derived from sedimentary rocks and occur in crystalline or in powdery form. What is the form of these ores? These are crystalline and powdery form present. Okay, so these are the two kind of best iron ore which are present all around the world. Magnetite and hematite are considered to be best because the percentage of iron content is more in these cases. The other two are limonite and siderite. So in case of limonite, we can see the iron content is 60%. So don't get confused with these. These are the chemical composition or chemical name. 2Fe, that means two molecules. Over here, see how chemical, if you have studied chemistry, you know very well how these chemical compositions are read. So H2O means water content, O3 means oxygen, and Fe means iron. So two molecules of each, and whereas iron has two molecules, oxygen has 6 molecules, and this water has 2 molecules again. Okay, so these are the chemical compositions. So several kind of all have their own kind of chemical names. Now the color, these are brown color and occurs in sedimentary rocks like swamps of lake and bog iron and all. Next kind of iron ore is siderite. Iron content is 48. The minimum iron content in this kind of ore, siderite, is the ore in which minimum amount of iron is present. They are ash gray in color and found in interbedded with sedimentary rock. It is basically used for making steel. So the siderite ore, iron which extracted from these ore, siderite ore, they are used for making steel. Okay, now we'll see the distribution. Distribution means where these iron ores are distributed. So in USA there is Lake Superior region. Lake Superior region means region. So that means the region which are surrounding a lake. So like Mesabi range, Vermilion range, Cuyona, Gojebi, Menominee, Marcotte range. So these range consist of hematite ore, mainly means chiefly of these hematite ores. And what are these hematite ores? These ores are the best quality of iron because maximum amount of iron are found in these kind of ore. In northeastern region, so these northeastern region consist of New York, Cornwall and Peninsula. Over here the magnetite ore is present. Oh sorry, I guess something is wrong. The magnetite ore is the best form. Okay, sorry, I made a mistake over here. Magnetite is best kind of iron ore, whereas hematite is the second best. It consists of 70% of iron. In western region we have Nevada, Wyoming and California. Now where these iron ores are divided in Canada. So in Canada we have got Superior region, Labrador, Quebec. These are the center for all kind of iron ore. CIS means Commonwealth of Independent States. We all know that. So near Moscow, Magnitsugors. These are the names or the places where all kind of iron ores are present. You can read them because these are the factual information, or else if you want I can go through one by one. It will just take your time. So in India, as we can see our country, because we have to know about our country more than the other country. So India, Jharkhand and Odisha, these are the places which consist of most kind of iron ore in India. Fine. So let's see what is the next kind of metallic mineral. So that is chromium. So what are the characteristics of chromium? So its nature is hard, silvery metal, and it has bluish tinge, and metallic luster is already present in chromium. So what are these chromium used for? So these chromiums are generally used for making steels. Okay. So few steels are what? Steels are not originally occurring metals. They are formed by mixing two or more metals. So over here we can see it is used for making stainless steel, and larger amount, that is 12 to 15%, increases high temperature strength, corrosion resistance, as well as area to wear. Thereof kitchen utensil, cutlery. So all kind of kitchen utensils, cutlery, oil burner, component bearing are made from chromium only. Why? Because it has got high temperature, high melting point and all. These are the reason behind that. If we talk about the distribution, so these distribution of chromium are chiefly in Commonwealth of Independent State. These means the area which comes under Russia, like Saranaya, north of Sverdlovsk, Kromati. In Philippines we have got Zambales and northern Luzon. In Turkey we have got Fethi and Guliman. Africa, Sulawesi and Zimbabwe, Tildona and Brazil. And India also we have got few mineral ores of chromium. Now talking about mineral ores in India. What kind of mineral ores are present in India? So India consists of more than 100 kind of minerals. It's not that we have only few kind of minerals which are present in India. More than 100 kind of minerals are present in India, out of which 30 are to be considered economically important, and they are present in most abundant, and they will be helpful for development of a country. Okay, so what are the minerals which are present in abundance? So we have got reserve of coal, iron and mica in huge amount. And what else apart from this? We too have other elements like magnesium ore, titanium, aluminium, raw materials, but we lack the ores of copper, lead and zinc. These are not easily available in our country. We have deficiency of these kind of ore. Okay, and why we have deficiency? See, as I was told, so all kind of ores can't be present everywhere. They have to be distributed because of this plate tectonics. Fine. Now there are few deposits like tin and nickel. India earns lots of foreign exchange by exporting this tin, nickel, titanium, magnesium, bauxite, granite and other host minerals. So these are exported from India, and India you earn huge amount of money from these things. Okay. Now what else we have to see? So at the same time India depend upon import also. It's not that India export all kind of these minerals, but they too depend upon import also. Like India depend import of copper, silver. As I said, copper is deficient in our country, so it depends for import for copper, silver, nickel, cobalt, zinc, lead, tin, mercury, limestone, platinum, graphite and many other minerals. Fine. What else we have to see? Now metallic minerals. So what metallic minerals are present in India? So we have iron ore also, which is present in India, and it is the backbone of modern civilization. Why backbone of modern civilization? Because our civilization is totally dependent upon industries, because industries are the places from where all kind of goods are produced, and all kinds of machinery are made from iron only. That's why iron ore is very important. Now as I told earlier, that standard of living of people country is judged by consumption of iron. So again, what are the type of iron ore? We have already studied hematite, magnetite, limonite and selenite. So we are not going to discuss about the characteristic. We'll see just where they are found. So hematite ore, these ore are found in Dharwad, Kudup rock system of peninsular India. Where is peninsular India? Peninsular means this part. If this we draw a map, so this part of India is called peninsular India, and 80% of hematite ores are concentrated in eastern part, comprising of important producers of Odisha, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh and Andhra Pradesh. When we say eastern part over here, don't consider the northeastern part. Eastern part means this eastern part. Over here, these iron ore, hematite iron ore would be found. Okay. Now the next kind of iron ore is magnetite. So this magnetite is again found in peninsular region only, especially in Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Limonite is the third kind of ore, which is found in Raniganj coalfield, Gerwal of Uttarakhand, Mirzapur in Uttar Pradesh and Kangra Valley of Himachal Pradesh. In these places limonite kind of iron ore are found. Next is siderite. So as we know, iron carbonate. So where these siderite are found, these are the four, or you can say the worst kind of iron. So these are not very economically valuable, but still they are used for making alloys. We have already seen this. And who are the important producers? So Odisha produces 40% of iron ore of India. So if question arises which state is the most iron ore producer, so that is Odisha in case of India. Chhattisgarh would be second producer of iron ore from India. Karnataka would be third, and so on. You can see on the map where all kind of iron ores are present. So this dot represent the area in which iron ore are found. So you can say over here in Garhwal, which is present in Uttarakhand, in the northernmost found. It is found in Jaipur, which is in Rajasthan. It is found in Jabalpur, Balghat. So you can see most of the part is found in eastern part of the country, and there are few iron ore present in the southern part also. That means, and if you see the area, it is almost the peninsular area. What are peninsular area? The area which are divided or covered by water from all sides is called peninsular area. That's why these ore are found mainly in peninsular area. Next is manganese. So manganese is also present in India. And what is significance of this manganese? So this manganese, 6 kg of manganese is required to produce 1 ton of steel. So this is used for production of steel. By mixing this manganese, steel is produced. That means manganese is used for making of alloy. And production and distribution, if we talk about the production, so India is the second largest manganese and producer after Zimbabwe. So what would be Zimbabwe would be the first. That means it produces more amount of manganese as compared to India, as India is the second largest producer of manganese. Fine. And if we talk about the states, so Odisha, it produces 44%, Karnataka 22%, Madhya Pradesh 12%, Goa, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Jharkhand. So these are the states which produce this chromium, what is this, magnesium. And Odisha is the most producing state of this magnesium, and even in case of iron also, Odisha was the highest producer. Fine. Next element is bauxite. Bauxite is also very important for making aluminium. So these aluminiums, there are few elements which are not naturally found. They have to be made by mixing 1 or 2 minerals, so you can say. So bauxite is again very important, which is used for making aluminium, and it is a kind of oxide, or it is an oxide of aluminium. What is oxide? Oxide means the minerals in which oxygen and molecules are also present are called as oxide. If we talk about production, so Odisha again over here. So in all cases, we are seeing till now that all kind of metallic minerals are found in Odisha. Odisha is the chief producer of most of the kind of the minerals. So this you should remember. Chhattisgarh also in eastern part of the country. It produces more than 18% of bauxite from India. Okay, and Maharashtra is responsible for producing 15% of bauxite from India. And again Jharkhand too is a mineral state. As we know, Jharkhand has huge amount of coal reserves, and along with coal reserve it has the other mineral reserves also present there. So you can see on the map, it will be easy for you to understand where these bauxites are produced. So these bauxite, you can see the region, it is there in the eastern part, it is there in the most western extreme, that is in Gujarat, and in the western part. Fine. Now talking about the non-metallic minerals. What are non-metallic minerals? We have already discussed. The minerals from which non-metals are extracted are called as non-metallic minerals. So under non-metallic minerals, we have got mica. We don't have much non-metallics present over here. So the first non-metallic mineral is mica, which is found in India. It is found in Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh is the highest producer of mica, followed by Bihar, Jharkhand, Maharashtra, and it is also reported in Gujarat, Haryana, Karnataka, Kerala, Odisha, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu and all. Fine. So this is about mica and all. Just a minute, my battery is draining. Let me plug in the charger. Fine. Okay. And the other non-metallic mineral is limestone. Limestone, what is limestone? Limestone, you know, it is associated with work of making building houses, like calcium carbonate, double calcium carbonate, calcium magnesium, mixture of two constituents. Limestone is found in are known as non-metallic kind of minerals. Next is diamond. Diamond is, we know, diamond is a cheapest kind of element which is present on earth, and it is used for glass cutting or gem cutting. So this is also present in very less amount, and we too have few reserves of diamond in our country. Where they are found, we are not going with the properties of diamond. We know what are the properties. It is very shiny in nature. It is brittle. What is the hardest kind of mineral which is present on earth? It can't be hammered, it just can be cutted into two pieces by using several other technologies. And what else we have to see, if you want to see the distribution of these mineral, you can see over here, this is generally divided in tropical region. If you see the tropical region over here, just a minute. So the industrial belt, so all the tropical region of the world consist of the industries, and these industries are the backbone of modern society because all kind of production are produced in industrial only. Fine. So again, this would talk about the distribution, so I think I shouldn't go and read everything over here because it will just consume your time. You can just read these factual information from here. Okay. CIS. So all kind of distribution of these industries are given over here. That means which kind of industry are distributed in which country. So these are just okay. We'll talk about India over here because India we should know. So as we know, India got its independence in 1947, and after that lots of industries were emerging in our country. Before that also there were few industries, but after independence growth was more. So there were several reasons, industrial reasons, like the Calcutta corporate conurbation, the Bombay, Pune, megapolis, Ahmedabad, Vadodara, southern industrial region, Damodar Valley region, and the capital region. So in several part of the country, several kind of industries were built. Why Calcutta was industrial region? Because the administration sector of British India was Calcutta initially. That's why Calcutta, the oldest oldest industries are to be found in Calcutta only. Fine. And why these industries were developed in Calcutta? There were several reasons. Because port facilities. What are ports means the sea routes. We start our journey of sea routes from these ports only. So ports were present. That's why it was industries were developed over here. And apart from this, administration center, I've already told, good transportation through road and railway. Road and railway connectivity was very good in this place. And the proximity, that means it was near the region of Chota Nagpur belt. And in this Chota Nagpur belt, we have got lots of minerals. That's why Calcutta was developed at that time. And we too had large market within the Calcutta only. And what else? And cheap labor was also available in Kolkata, who used to go from Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. Now also presently we have got cheap labor from Uttar Pradesh and Bihar in all around the country. And entrepreneur ability was also brought there by foreign and natural bourgeoisies. Okay. And what kind of industries are present? So the major industries which are present in Kolkata, they were jute mills, cotton textiles, chemical, drug, pharmaceutical, engineering, machine tools, automobiles, tobacco, food pressing, leather, fabrication, paper, and all these kind of industries were present in Kolkata. The next reason, important reason, is Bombay, Pune megalopolis. So this reason is also very important because we have some even and ever in Bombay we have a place known as Hai, from where petroleum resources are extracted. So this also had a very important mineral resource over there. And major kind of industries which are present in Bombay was textile, drugs, pharmaceuticals, chemical, petrochemical, paper, leather, engineering, fertilizer, and precision instruments. So these kind of industries were present in Pune. And again the reason almost was same, because in Bombay also we had, now Bombay is known as Mumbai and Pune is known as Pune. So it's the same name, the old name of Mumbai and Pune as Bombay Pune. Okay. So there was development and growth of Bombay port, communication system through roads and railway. See, the reasons are almost same. Fine. And capital, and lots of huge capital amount were invested over here from foreign, because since, see, the place which has port, because initially before the independence of India, the people are the one who were the explorer, they came through India through these port only, because earlier we didn't have aeroplanes, we had ships only through which people travel from one continent to other continent. That's why these places were very significant and very important. And even now also the trade which are done, that means the supply of trade goods from one country to another country, the ships are very important for transportation, because they are cheaper as compared to the other resources and they can carry huge amount of products. Next is Ahmedabad, Vadodara region. So as this, we also know this very well. So the textile industry in Ahmedabad is very versatile, very huge, and over here petrochemical and fertilizer engineering factories were also evolved in Ahmedabad and in Surat also. Now if you go to Surat and Bharuch, you can see lots of textile industry are present over there. Talking about the southern region, so in southern region, Madras and Coimbatore and Bangalore region, here we have lots of industrial region, although now Bangalore is the IT hub of a country. But apart from this, the Coimbatore region, or you can say the other region, there are lots of industries present. Even in Bangalore outer skirt, textile, sugar, engineering, refinery, chemical, drug, paper plants, pharmaceutical, automobile, fertilizer, these kind of industries are present. And why these kind of industries were important? Again, as I said, Madras port, Chennai is located near Bangalore, so Madras port was a prominent place. Yeah. So Madras port, so Chennai is located near Madras, so Madras port, so Chennai, so Bangalore is located near Chennai. Chennai was earlier known as Madras. That's why import and export facility was easy over here. That's why factories were developed at these places. Next is Damodar Valley region. So near Damodar Valley region, lots of mineral reserves are found. That's why industries flourished and developed in these regions. So what are those kind of industries? So majorly we have local coal, iron ore, bauxite, limestone, magnesia, mica and other mineral attracted by a large number of mineral based industries. That's why Damodar Valley region is highly industrial in nature. And capital region means the areas next to the capital. What is the capital? Delhi is the capital, so the area next to capital also has lots of industries like Saharanpur, Mathura, Ghaziabad, Faizabad, Faridabad. These industries consist of textile, engineering, leather, drug, pharmaceutical, petroleum refinery, toilet and cosmetic products and detergent, etc. These kind of industries are present in capital region. Fine. So this is all about the mineral, their distribution and entire India and world. Apart from, there is one more concept which you should know. It's not given over here in text. I'll just tell you about UNCLOS, UNCLOS. So we have studied that there is a third kind of mineral which is known as energy mineral. Energy mineral, we have studied about coal, petroleum and all in last video. So there should be several laws. As we know, oceans are huge in resources. Lots of amount of resources are found in oceans. But as we know, there are more than one country which might border oceans. For example, over here we have India and we too have Sri Lanka bordering India, and it is divided by sea. A sea is dividing both the countries. So how can the resources which are present in this area, they will be shared within these two countries, or there are other countries like Bangladesh. So how these resources, the resources which are present in this area, how they will be shared? So for this very purpose, United Nations has made some law. So what was that law? United Nations Convention Law on Sea Area or area of sea. So these laws were made, and what these laws says, these laws divided the coast into three parts, or you can say the area from which resources can be extracted. So they divided these areas into baseline, regional sea, and the third is exclusive economic zone. You might have heard about this term because these terms are generally in use. So these zones are divided by UN clause or United Nations Convention Law on Sea Area. Fine. So we'll see what is this base area. So the base area means the region which is 12 kilometers from the coast. For example, so this is land area, and from here sea starts. So this will be coast. So the 12 area, the distance from this coast till 12 area would be considered as baseline. And in this baseline, any kind of public activity, public transportation, resource extraction, anything can be done from the country without any permission. So for example, we have Maharashtra or Goa or Mumbai coast over here. So the distance from here around 12 kilometers, anything can be done, like Ajanta and Ellora cave are present over here. So public can easily go without any kind of permission from here. So this is called as baseline. The other part is regional sea. So from this 12 kilometers, the next 24 kilometers, here also the country from which this distance is measured, they can extract all kind of resources which are present, but special permission would be required, and these permission could be taken from the respective country. And what else? The fishers, sometimes fishermen, sometimes we see these fishermen, they are not allowed to go this beyond 12 kilometers, but if they have to go in this region, the regional sea, they have to take permission from the government. And finally we have exclusive economic zone. So it's not kilometers, it's nautical miles. The distance is measured in nautical miles. This is 12 nautical miles. Over here the distance is measured in nautical miles, that is 24 nautical miles. What is this nautical mile? So it's an unit for measurement of distance in sea. Actually, if we convert into kilometers, so 1 nautical mile would be equal to 1.8 kilometers, roughly around 1.8 kilometers. Fine. So this is what is known as regional sea. Next is exclusive economic zone. So this exclusive economic zone consists of 200 nautical miles from the baseline. 200 nautical miles. So this would be calculated from this place after 12 kilometers. So the 200 nautical mile area would come under exclusive economic zone. Over here also all kind of extraction can be done, but from the country from which it belongs. Whereas the other countries, like the bordering countries or the countries which share the continent or the ocean, they can use this area for transportation purpose, but for extraction all, they have to mutually do some kind of understanding, or they have to mutually sign some kind of deal and all for these things. So that's all for today's video. I hope you have understood the concept. If you have got any issues, you can always ask in the comment box. Most probably I'll try to answer them in next video. So see you in next video. Thank you for watching. See you next video with new concept. Till then, goodbye. पंखा चला दो.